If you're hearing these words right now, maybe, just maybe, there's been a quiet doubt stirring inside you, a gentle sense that something about the way you're living no longer feels quite right. It's not a big mistake. It's not some sudden disaster. It's more like a series of small, familiar habits, things you do every day, over and over, that seem harmless, but are slowly draining your energy, joy, and sense of truly being alive. My name is Bennett Clarke. I'm 78 years old. I've spent my entire life working in geriatrics, caring for older adults, from nursing homes to independent living communities. I've held the hands of hundreds of seniors in their loneliest, most hopeless moments. And I've heard thousands of sentences that begin with, "If only I had realized sooner," or "I don't even know when I lost myself." What haunts me most isn't the hard-to-treat illnesses. It's the quiet things, the slow things, the way life can creep in, like a cold mist settling on the shoulders of the elderly, not bringing pain exactly, but something worse, a slow fading. They still eat, they still sleep, they still get around, but bit by bit, they lose their voice, their sense of connection, their dignity, the small joys that once made them feel human. And the most challenging part is, they don't even realize it's happening. What I want to say to you now, not to judge, but to awaken, is this. You might be falling into that very same trap. The trap of, "I'm doing fine." The trap of, "This is just what getting old is." But the truth is, no, you are not meant to live this way. And no, you do not deserve to be drained by a life that quietly slips away, one harmless habit at a time. I want to share with you 7 things I've seen in nearly every older person who slowly lost touch with themselves. 7 things that, if you stop, even just one of them, your life can begin to shift. Not in a loud or dramatic way, but in a way that brings back something many only realize too late is truly precious. A life that feels real. I'm not here to give you loud advice or bossy instructions. I simply want to sit with you, like 2 old friends having tea on the porch, and gently look back at the quiet ways you may have been drifting away from your life. We'll talk about the times you nodded along just to avoid conflict, and slowly, without noticing, lost your voice. We'll talk about those quiet afternoons when you sat alone indoors, not feeling like talking to anyone, and the loneliness that quietly filled each breath. We'll touch the places in your memory that make you believe the past was better than the present, that your time has come and gone. And then, gently, we'll begin to untangle those knots, not to make you young again, but to help you live lighter, truer, more in line with who you are. I can't promise miracles, but after all these years working with older adults, I believe this with all my heart. Every person has a deep instinct for renewal, if it's given the right kind of invitation. And I hope, as we explore each of these 7 things together, you'll come to see you are not too late. You still have time, and you deserve a life in old age that's not just long, but full. If you feel a quiet stirring in your heart as you hear these words, if something inside you says, "I need to hear more," then I invite you to stay with me. Because right after this, I'll share the first thing, the one so many of us have done our whole lives, and need to stop if we want to truly keep ourselves. Keep listening if you're ready to reshape your later years, gently, profoundly, and meaningfully. What comes next may help you see this life with new eyes, eyes that don't shine from being young again, but from finally coming home to who you are. Let me tell you about a woman named Eliza Monroe. She's 72 years old, living in a small, quiet house in the eastern suburbs of the US. The house is neat, peaceful, and filled with framed family photos hanging along the hallway. Eliza is the kind of mother, the The kind of grandmother everyone loves, always a soft smile on her face, always baking something warm, always ready to nod and say, sure, when someone needs help. But not long ago, she sat across from me during a regular counseling session. She spoke in a gentle voice. Lately, I feel invisible. People just assume I'll agree, that I'll stay home with the grandkids. I don't mind canceled plans, that I don't really have anything of my own going on. Sometimes I want to say no, but I just can't. I listened in silence, because I know so many older adults feel exactly like Eliza. Quietly, sadly. They've spent a lifetime taking care of others, keeping the peace, trying to please, and somewhere along the way, they disappeared. Not from life, but from the part of themselves that once knew precisely who they were. Have you ever felt that way? Said yes to avoid upsetting someone, smiled even when something inside you was aching. I agree. Did your opinion not matter anymore? But every time you say yes, while your heart is whispering no, you take a step back from your own boundary. You give away a small piece of your inner voice, until, like Eliza, you begin to feel like a shadow in your own family, in your community, in your own life. Don't get me wrong, grace and humility are a part of healthy relationships. But when being humble becomes automatic, not from kindness, but from fear, it stops being a virtue and becomes a chain. I've met many older adults who say they don't want to bother anyone, so they stay silent during family meetings. They let their children or grandchildren make all the decisions. They give up the right to choose what they eat, the right to say they're tired, the right to say, I don't like that. And over time, sadly, others get used to that silence. And eventually, your silence is no longer a choice. It becomes what everyone expects. That's how autonomy disappears. Not with loud arguments, but with quiet nods. Not because others meant to take over, but because you chose to step back, bit by bit. And what's the result? Your self-respect begins to wear down. That quiet thought, I don't matter much anymore, starts to grow. And each morning, you wake up with no real excitement to live a day that belongs to you. You're not angry, you're just indifferent. And that, my friend, is what's truly frightening. I understand. It's not easy to learn how to say no when you've spent decades trying to keep everyone else happy. But you don't need to be harsh. You don't need to argue. You don't need to start a fight. You just need to learn to say things like this, gently but clearly. I'm not comfortable with that. I need some time to think it over. I hear you, but I feel differently. Thank you for asking. Here's what I think. Not everyone will be used to hearing you speak this way. Your children might be surprised. Close friends might think you're changing. But that's a good thing. Because you are changing, you're coming back to yourself. You're showing the people around you that you still have a voice, a perspective, and a right to choose. Even now, at this age, you don't have to shout to be heard. You just need to stop turning away from the voice inside you. That voice, it is part of your identity, part of your soul, part of your longing to truly live. And it deserves to be honored, whether you're 60 or 90. Think of Eliza. After several talks, she finally did it. She said no to babysitting on the weekend, and instead signed up for a local painting class. Her daughter was surprised, maybe even a little upset at first. But a few weeks later, Eliza told me, eyes shining, she's starting to ask for my opinion more. I'm not just a shadow in the house anymore. One small step, one brave sentence, and her life began to shift. Are you nodding just to keep the peace? If you've ever done that, write yes in the comments, because the moment you realize you've been losing your voice, it's the moment you can start finding it again. And I promise, once you do, you'll discover that there is still so much life left to speak, to feel, and to fully live. Malcolm Graves was once a lively man, talkative, warm, and joyful. He had been a literature teacher, known for standing at the front of the classroom, reciting poems, telling stories, making his students burst out laughing, and sometimes fall completely silent, overcome with emotion. His whole life was made up of conversations, in classrooms, around dinner tables, and during long afternoon teas with the woman he had loved for over 50 years. Then, she passed away. There was no accident, no serious illness. Her heart simply stopped one night in her sleep. And from that night on, every conversation in Malcolm's life seemed to stop too. He stopped teaching, turned down dinner invitations from his daughter, stopped answering the phone, stopped opening the door to visitors. Even at his wife's funeral, he only said a few brief words, then stood in silence, watching the room like a man lost in what used to be his own home. The first time I met him through our local senior support program, he said only 3 sentences during our entire 1-hour conversation. "I'm fine. I don't need anything. I want to go home." His eyes didn't meet mine. He looked right through me, as if staring into a closed door from the past, one he no longer believed could open again. But Malcolm is not alone. So many older adults, after a loss, a move, retirement, or simply the passing of time, begin to withdraw from the very life they once built. They feel like they have nothing left to say. No one needs them anymore. And they convince themselves that being alone is the safest choice. No expectations, no complications, no more pain. But isolation is not peace. It's a kind of fading, slow and silent. We often think of loneliness as just a feeling, something a little sad that lingers in the heart. But the truth is, loneliness is a real state of being, and its effects on the body are as serious as smoking or high blood pressure. Studies have shown that prolonged isolation increases the risk of heart attacks, strokes, dementia, and depression, and even early death. It weakens memory, lowers the immune system, and causes the body to quite literally shrink inward, quietly. And the cruelest part, loneliness often arrives very slowly and very subtly. You overlook the day you didn't call anyone. The next day, you stay inside. A week goes by, and you've only spoken to the delivery driver. A month passes, and you haven't hugged anyone, haven't laughed out loud. You say, "I'm fine." But inside, something is wilting a little more each day. I remember once asking Malcolm, "When was the last time you heard someone say your name?" He sat in silence for a long time, and then finally said, "I don't remember. Just one simple question." But it made his eyes well up with tears. We are born to connect. The human brain is wired for community, to hear other voices, to tell stories, to touch, to be touched. When you cut off those connections, out of grief, out of exhaustion, or the belief that no one cares anymore, you're cutting off the deepest source of life within yourself. You might think, "I don't really have close friends anymore. Most of my friends are gone. I don't relate to younger people." But when those thoughts repeat themselves over and over without being challenged, they harden into false beliefs, and those beliefs can trap you in a cage that no one else can see. No one is asking you to go back to being the way you were. Outgoing, social, lively. You don't have to throw parties or be the center of attention, but you can still open a small door, a phone call to an old friend, a cup of coffee with a neighbor, a knitting group, or a gentle dance class for seniors. Even just turning on Zoom to see the faces of your children and grandchildren. Malcolm started with something tiny. He sat at the public library every Thursday at 3 p.m., where a senior reading group met. He didn't speak at all the first week, but he came back the next day, and the next. By the 6th week, he shared a poem, the first one he ever wrote for his wife, back when they were in college. The room went quiet. Then came the applause, and someone said, "Would you reread it?" His voice still trembled when he told me this, but his eyes no longer held the dullness I'd seen the first day. "I think I still have something to give," he said. "I just forgot. Have you forgotten something inside yourself? A story you haven't told? A friend you haven't called in years? A place where you once felt like you belonged? If so, start again. It doesn't have to be a big step. Make one phone call, step outside and greet your neighbor. Send a message to an old classmate. Sign up for a community group. Even if you just sit and listen the first time. Life doesn't come from breathing alone. It comes from those small moments. When we are heard, when we are touched, when we are reminded that we are still part of this world, that we still matter, that we are still loved. Who will you call first after this video? Don't let today slip by as a faded copy of yesterday. Let it be the day you begin to reconnect with the world, with others, and with yourself. Because you weren't born to live alone in silence. You were born to share stories, be called by name, and let your heart stir every time someone smiles your way. You are worthy of connection. You are worthy of being present, and this world still needs you in it. Nora Evans is 79 years old. She lives in a small wooden house beside an old farm on the edge of town. Her garden is full of roses, a few cats wander the porch, and a faded wooden swing creaks gently in the breeze. She used to be a nurse for nearly 40 years. She cared for hundreds of patients, stayed up through long nights by the bedsides of strangers. But now, when it's her turn to be cared for, she just sits quietly in that swing and tells me, "I'm old now. Why bother with my health anymore?" I asked her, "Do you still enjoy going for walks?" She shrugged. "I've gotten used to sitting still." I asked, "Do you find food doesn't taste as good these days?" She shook her head. "I just eat enough to feel full, that's all." Then she sighed, as if everything in life, from food to sleep, from the birds singing in the morning to the sound of her little great-grandchild calling her name, had lost its meaning. "At this age, what's the point of changing anything?" she asked. That question might sound reasonable, but it's one of the most dangerous beliefs older adults often carry. Because the truth is this: the human body never stops responding to care. Whether you're 60, 70, or 90, every small thing you do for your health, even just drinking one extra glass of water a day, matters. It's like watering dry soil. You may not see flowers bloom overnight, but the roots are coming back to life. Even in old age, the body can still build muscle with light exercise. It can still improve blood pressure, blood sugar, sleep, and memory with the right foods and gentle movement. And this isn't wishful thinking. Studies of thousands of older adults around the world have proven it. Positive changes, even late in life, bring real results. Lower risk of falling, better mood, longer life, and a higher quality of living. Nora became living proof. During a health checkup, doctors found signs of osteoporosis, severe dehydration, and long-term sleep loss. But what made her change? It wasn't the numbers. It was the moment she couldn't lift her 1-year-old great-grandchild because her hands were trembling and aching. "I felt left out of the joy," she told me. And suddenly, I felt regret. That moment was the turning point. She started with just 5 minutes of stretching each morning. Then, 10 minutes walking around the garden. She added more greens to her meals, drank more water. No strict diets, no big rules, as she put it. Listening more carefully to my body. 6 weeks later, she told me, half surprised, half delighted, "I can hold her now." No more shaking. She didn't become young again, but she came alive again. She had the energy to hold conversations longer. She started to feel hungry again. She slept through the night. And most importantly, she felt like she was living her life, instead of just sitting and waiting for time to pass. You don't need to go to the gym. You don't need to follow a strict diet. You just need to start small and stay steady. A daily light walk, even around your house, helps improve circulation, heart health, and mood. Drinking enough water keeps your body from quietly running dry, preventing fatigue and dry skin. Adding more fresh vegetables and fruits, while cutting back on fried and processed foods, eases the work your body has been doing in silence for years. Regular health checkups help you understand where your body stands, so you can adjust gently before something catches you off guard. You can start by scheduling a 10-minute walk after breakfast. Put a water bottle somewhere you'll see it often. Turn your daily veggies into a little game. Note what you ate today. Don't treat it like a chore. Treat it as sending love back to the body that has carried you through decades. Aging is not the end. It's the part of life where you deserve the kindest care from yourself. I remember Nora once said to me, "I spent my whole life taking care of others. Now I'm finally learning to take care of myself." And strangely, it feels peaceful. She didn't say much, but the light in her eyes, growing brighter daily, said it all. If you've ever thought, "I'm too old to take care of myself now," remember this: every cell in your body is still listening. It doesn't ask how old you are. It only asks, "Will you give me another chance to live well today?" What's one small thing you'll do tomorrow to care for your health? Write it down, because that one small thing might bring you something much bigger. The feeling of truly living, right here in your own body. And that, it is a gift that nothing else can replace. George Whitman is 81 years old, with quiet blue eyes that remind you of a dried-up lake. Still, deep, and waiting. Every time someone asked George a question, he would begin with the exact familiar phrase, "Back then, I used to drive across the country, never needed a map. Back then, I could stand and teach for 3 hours without getting tired. Back then, every Sunday, my wife would bake peach cobbler. Just the smell made life feel sweet." George's memories were beautiful, not painful, not bitter. But what made me pause was that every time he spoke, his voice wasn't exactly joyful. It sounded more like a man standing on tiptoe, peeking over the wall of time, longing to touch those days again. And then, sighing, returning to a quiet, dim room that now felt empty. One afternoon, after he finished telling me about his beloved 1967 Chevrolet Impala, which, in his words, drove smoother than a lullaby, I asked gently, "Do you have any plans for this weekend?" He gave a faint smile. "Not really. At my age, what is there left to look forward to?" That answer stayed with me, because there's a quiet truth we don't like to face. Even beautiful memories, when we live in them too much, it can slowly pull us away from the present. Over time, you stop making plans. You stop feeling excited about breakfast. You stop wanting to meet people. You're alive. But not here. You're living in the land of back then, where everything feels safer, easier, more familiar. But it's not now. And when we stay out of the present for too long, it can lead to a quiet kind of depression, one that's hard to notice. You're not exactly sad. You don't cry, but you don't feel joy either. Everything turns gray, no matter how bright the sun is outside. You stop feeling the need to do something new. You stop believing there's any reason to make new memories. But here's the strange and wonderful thing. Even in old age, the human brain still craves new experiences. It still works. It still loves to learn. It still lights up with joy when you try something for the first time. That part of you doesn't disappear just because you turn 80. One day, I asked George, if you can't return to the past, would you be open to creating something new? He sat in silence for a long time. So long, I thought he might say no. But finally he spoke quietly. "I've never baked before. My wife always did that. But now, maybe I should try. We started with a simple recipe, soft, buttery cookies. The first week they burned. The second week, they were too salty. The third week, he invited his elderly neighbor over for tea and a taste test. And by the fourth week, he was sitting by the window, chin in hand, humming an old tune while waiting for the cookies to bake. Nothing dramatic. But in that warm afternoon light, I saw something in George I had never seen before. Aliveness. He still told his old stories. But now he added things like, "Last week's batch turned out better." Or, "I'm looking for a peach cobbler recipe, like the one my wife used to make." The past was still there, but it wasn't a place he escaped to anymore. It became fuel for writing the next chapter of his life. You don't have to bake cookies, but you can try something new, something you've never done or once loved but left behind. It could be writing a handwritten letter, painting a small picture, replanting that old flower pot, joining a class for seniors, downloading an audiobook app, even just choosing a new route for your morning walk. Anything that gives your brain a chance to experience a first time, no matter how small. It is a quiet medicine for the soul. You don't have to forget the past. The past is a precious part of you. But you also deserve new, beautiful moments, so that one day you're not only saying, "back then," but also, "last week," with the same bright spark in your eyes. What's something that made you smile recently? Tell me. That might be the beginning of a new story you're about to write. And I believe this part of your life still holds so much worth telling, if you will allow yourself to step out of memory and step into the present. There is a kind of tiredness that only people who have spent their whole lives caring for others truly understand. It doesn't sting like illness. It doesn't announce itself like a fall. It's quieter, a slow, steady drain, like a once full water pitcher, now leaking drop by drop, while no one notices it's running dry. Harriet Lowe, 74, knows that feeling well. I remember the first day I met her. She arrived with a basket of homemade muffins, neatly wrapped in brown paper. She told the organizer, more than once, "Give them to whoever needs them." I just made a few extra. But later she told me she'd been up the night before, baking enough for the whole family, then got up early to cook porridge for her sick granddaughter. "I'm used to it. It's nothing," she said softly, but those words carried weight, because behind them was a lifetime of never allowing herself to rest. Harriet is the kind of person everyone calls first when something comes up. Son locked out of the house. Call mom. Grandchild needs lunch dropped off at school. Call grandma. Neighbor is going out of town and needs someone to feed the cat. Harriet says yes. Everyone loves her. But no one asks, "Are you tired?" Not even Harriet herself. And that's the problem. When you give and give for too long, not everyone says thank you. Some begin to expect it. They grow used to your presence, your sacrifices, until it all becomes invisible. You fade into the background, always there, always helping, always ready. But the spotlight no longer turns your way. And the saddest part? You start to believe you shouldn't be in the spotlight anymore. Harriet once told me, with a tone that was part pride, part quiet resignation, "I've never gone anywhere just for myself. I always put the family first." But when I asked her, "What brings you joy?" she went silent. It was the first time I saw her smile fade. Not because she didn't have anything to be joyful about, but she had forgotten how to recognize joy that belonged only to her. Sacrifice is not a sin, but sacrificing to the point of losing yourself, that's no longer love. That's quite exhausting. Caring for others is a beautiful thing. But if it leaves you depleted, silently suffering, always putting your needs last, that's a sign that it's time to pause and ask yourself, am I being fair to myself? You have the right to say no without feeling guilty. You can say, "I need a break," without explaining. You have the right to make plans just for you, even if it's just 30 minutes a week, to take a walk alone, sip a quiet cup of tea, or read a few pages of a book you love. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It's how you teach others that you matter too, that you deserve care too. And more importantly, it's how you teach yourself to love yourself. Gently, Harriet started with one small boundary. Every Tuesday afternoon, she stopped saying yes to babysitting. She didn't cook. She didn't clean. She took a discount flyer to a nearby senior art class, a watercolor painting group just for older adults. At first, it felt strange, she told me. My hands shook. My painting was terrible. But when I held that brush, I felt like I was doing something just for me. Her first painting wasn't perfect, but she stuck it on her refrigerator with a note she wrote in her own handwriting. "Tuesdays are mine." Have you ever felt worn out from giving too much? If your answer is yes, then I invite you. Try doing one small thing just for you. Not because someone asked, not for praise, but simply because you deserve it. And if you see yourself in Harriet's story, let this video be a turning point. Starting this week, choose a small pocket of time to breathe, to rest, to do something that brings you joy. If these words speak to your heart, follow this channel so you won't miss the next videos. Aging is not about stepping into the background. It's about stepping forward. And finally, living for you. There is a kind of pain that doesn't show up in your bones or your muscles or your knees. It shows up where we're too afraid to admit that we are in pain. It's a kind of silent pressure, one that no one asked us to carry, but that we placed on ourselves just because we're afraid others might see us as weaker. Lionel Craig is 70 years old, and all his life he's been the strong one, the backbone of the family, the man who drove long-haul routes without rest, the one shoveled the snow, patched the roof, and carried the heaviest loads without asking for help. He used to be a patrol officer. He once chased a thief through a freezing night. He once rescued a lost little girl from a snow-covered forest. He was used to being strong, so used to it. He seemed to forget that he was human too. One early morning, Lionel slipped into the bathroom. Not a significant fall. No blood, but the impact sent a sharp pain through his lower back. He got up. He cleaned the floor. He walked out on his own. And most importantly, he didn't tell anyone. No doctor, no wife, no son, no granddaughter. Just a small fall, he told himself. But 3 days later, he couldn't bend down to tie his shoes. A week later, the pain reached his knees. 3 months later, he started limping. When he finally went to the hospital, the scans revealed a long list of accumulated injuries. Herniated discs, pinched sciatic nerves, and inflamed lower back muscles. The doctor looked at him and said, "I wish you had come sooner." I asked Lionel, "Why didn't you tell anyone?" He looked out the window for a long while, then quietly replied, "I was afraid they'd see me as an old man. I was afraid I wouldn't be the strong one anymore." That answer hit me hard, because it's not just true for him. It's true for so many of us. People who've grown used to holding it all together, doing it alone, proving we're still fine. But the truth is, carrying too much for too long, it can slowly destroy you. It makes you ignore the signals your body is trying to send. It turns minor pains into a serious illness. It steals your rest and replaces it with guilt for needing a break. We often confuse being strong with being exhausted. We mistake enduring for courage. We believe that pushing past our limits is a strength, when really, it's often self-destruction in silence. But here's the truth. Knowing your limits is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing you've gone far enough. It's knowing when to pause and breathe. It's understanding that no one, not even you, can be a superhero forever. Lionel is no longer the strong, broad-shouldered man he was at 40, but he's still the pillar of his family, just in a different way. Now, he lets his son rake the yard. He lets his granddaughter carry the heavy box. He lets his wife remind him to take his medicine on time. And instead of feeling like he's lost something, he realizes he's teaching his family a more profound lesson, that health is not something you trade for the image of strength. It's something you honor by treating yourself with respect. He's begun saying, "I'm tired," without shame. He's learned to ask, "Can you help me?" without feeling burdened. He can now admit, "There are things I can't do anymore, and that's completely okay." And here's the beautiful part. No one saw him as less. Instead, they began loving him better. They asked how he was, genuinely. They helped him without hurting his dignity. Because when you dare to live honestly, you teach others how to treat you with honesty and care. Are you pretending to be okay? Are you trying to push through everything alone to keep up the image of being strong? Do you allow yourself to rest when you're tired? Or are you still holding it all in? If you see yourself in this story, pause just for a moment. Take a deep breath and gently say to yourself, "I've already done enough. I don't have to prove anything anymore." If this part speaks to you, leave a comment below, hit like, and share this video with someone you know, someone who's carrying too much. Because sometimes, a quiet message can reach someone who's been suffering in silence. And if you'd like to hear more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You don't have to go through aging alone. We're here to remind you, you still deserve care. You're still doing better than you think. And you absolutely deserve to rest. Among all the things we silently carry, this may be one of the deepest, and yet one of the quietest, because no one wants to talk about it. Once the hair turns gray, once people start calling us sir or ma'am, but the less we speak of it, the more it stirs inside us. That longing to be touched with tenderness, to be seen through someone's eyes with care, to feel closeness, not just in thought, but in skin, in breath, in heartbeat. June Patterson, 68, once believed that intimacy, even sex, had ended along with her youth. After her husband passed, she lived alone, not because no one cared, but because she had come to believe, that part of life isn't for me anymore. Her body had changed. Her skin was soft and loose. Her back ached. Her legs were slower. She once said, "How could anyone find me attractive when I can't even look at myself in the mirror?" So she wrapped that longing in silence, kept busy with grandkids, with her women's club, with bake sales and charity events. She talked about everything except for the loneliness at night. The nights she'd lie facing the wall, her hand drifting over the empty space beside her. The moments when she'd smile and nod at her widowed neighbor, then turn away quickly so he wouldn't see the shimmer in her eyes. Then one day, she attended a small workshop at the community library called Renewing Yourself After 60. The speaker, a woman well into her 70s, said something so gently, but it landed like thunder in June's heart. Who told you you're not allowed to be loved just because you've aged? No rule says you can't feel beautiful, can't crave closeness, can't long to be touched with tenderness. Your body isn't outdated, it's simply changing, and it is still worthy of love. June cried. She didn't even know why, only that those words had touched a place in her. The part she had locked away for years, the woman in her. The truth is, there is no expiration date on love. In fact, studies show that people who maintain intimacy, both physical and emotional, into older age, live longer, stay healthier, and are less likely to suffer from depression. Healthy intimacy, at the right pace, in the right way, can reduce stress, improve circulation, deepen sleep, and increase levels of oxytocin, the hormone that soothes the soul. and bonds us to others. However, intimacy in later life is no longer about performance or appearance. It's about a more profound connection where two people love each other with patience, gentleness, and respect for the bodies they now live in. No pressure, no expectations, only tenderness, only truth. June started with something small. She struck up a conversation with an old acquaintance, Raymond, a widower for 5 years. They used to only nod at each other at the farmer's market. One day she asked, "Do you like live music?" They began going to outdoor concerts together. Then came tea, then quiet afternoons reading side by side. No one mentioned romance, but one day, as they sat listening to an old song, he gently took her hand, and she didn't pull away. Later, she told me, "I thought I'd feel embarrassed, but strangely, I just felt peaceful, like something inside me had been returned." Not everyone needs a whole romantic or sexual relationship, but everyone needs closeness, a long hug, a kiss on the forehead, a gentle touch to your hair as you wake. These are not just for the young. They are basic human needs at any age. To rediscover that, you can start with a conversation. Ask your partner or an old friend, "What do you think about affection in later life?" Learn to listen to your own body, accept how it has changed, and know it is still worthy of love. Care for yourself a little more, not to become younger, but so you can look in the mirror and say, "I'm still a person with feelings, and I still have worth." You don't have to rush, you just have to open your heart, not to someone else first, but to yourself. June and Raymond are not married. They call each other companions on the road. Sometimes they walk around the lake holding hands, sometimes they don't. But every morning, Raymond sends a message, "Wishing you a gentle day." And each time she reads it, June says she feels like she's 28 again. Do you believe that intimacy is a gift that belongs to every age? If you've ever doubted it, try letting yourself believe again. Because age doesn't take away your right to love. It only helps you understand what real love truly means. Perhaps now, as you've made it all the way to the final part of this journey, something inside you is quietly stirring. Not loud, not dramatic, but like a gentle wave touching the deepest part of your heart. The 7 truths we've walked through together, they weren't meant to make you feel like you've done anything wrong. They were here to remind you, growing older still comes with choices, with chances to begin again, to live again, if you're willing to see it all through new eyes. Do you remember? We began with Eliza, the woman who always said yes to keep the peace, until one day she realized she'd lost her voice, and with one small sentence, "I'll think about it," she began to reclaim the worth she thought she'd lost. We met Malcolm, the man who withdrew from the world after his wife passed, believing silence was peace, until he realized loneliness isn't just sadness, it quietly wilts the heart. And when he stepped into the library, just to sit among a few strangers, he began to come alive again. We sat with Nora, the woman who thought it was too late to care for herself, but after just a few weeks of walking, staying hydrated, and listening to her body, she was able to hold her great-grandchild in her arms and laugh as if she were discovering joy for the very first time. Then there was George, who spent years saying, "Back then," forgetting that he still had pages left to write. His first batch of cookies came out a little burnt, but it carried the warm scent of a brand new chapter. We met Harriet, a woman who had given her entire life to others, working quietly behind the scenes until the day she painted her first watercolor just for herself and wrote on it, "Tuesdays are mine, one quiet afternoon a week." And it was enough to remind her that she was still a person, not just the family's silent helper. We heard Lionel confess that he once feared being seen as weak, so much so that he hid a fall and suffered in silence. But then he learned to say, "I need to rest." Without shame, He realized that knowing when to pause is the most innovative way to keep going, to be stronger and longer. And finally, we arrived at June, who once believed that intimacy belonged only to the young. But with a single hand held during a Sunday afternoon concert, she rediscovered something tender, something warm, something she thought had been lost forever. 7 stories, 7 gentle whispers, soft but deep. None of them changed their entire life overnight. None of them did everything perfectly. But they started with one small thing. And that, it is precisely what I want to say to you right now. You don't need to do all 7 things. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to choose the one that touched you most and take one small step toward it. Maybe it's saying no for the first time after years of constantly nodding yes. Perhaps it's calling an old friend you've meant to contact. Perhaps it's waking up 10 minutes earlier to walk, drink warm water, or just sit quietly. Or maybe it's simply admitting to yourself, I'm tired, and I need to rest. Growing older is not the end. It can be the best part, if you live it well. That is the final message I, Dr. Bennett Clarke, want to leave you with. After more than 40 years of working with thousands of older adults, I have seen people who seem to be fading come alive again, simply because they dared to pause, to reflect, and to choose again, gently, but bravely. And now I ask you, which number will you start with? Leave a comment below. Be honest. Be real. Because you won't just be telling me, you'll be telling yourself, I'm ready to live differently. Share this video with a loved one, a friend, someone you know who might be quietly struggling. Let's not allow them to grow old in silence. And if you'd like to keep receiving videos like this, full of feeling, complete with truth, don't forget to subscribe, click like, and share this message forward. You deserve a life in your later years that is not just long, but rich. And you are not alone in this journey. We are here to remind you every age deserves to be fully lived, and you still have time to begin.